Hello and welcome back to another great episode of the Geek Tech Show. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about one of my friends, and really the whole entire episode, this one, is how to get yourself out of debt. And because he actually made an interesting video, he was asking people for help. How do you get out of debt? Because he racked himself into almost $400,000, if not more, of debt right now. So this is actually the opposite of one of my friends who was able to make almost $500,000, and he was himself in debt right before this. And this is very interesting because it is a tale of two different people. One who got himself into debt, another one who is out of debt, and the biggest difference between the two. But I want to really focus about how you can get yourself out of debt, especially if this is something you are right now struggling with. If you're right now having trouble making ends meet, you're not making enough money, you're definitely in debt, you have credit card bills, everything else, well, this video is going to help you out. And if it does, make sure you sub to this channel. There's a lot of helpful videos coming up soon here, and video reviews as well. So first of all, you have to understand how you got yourself into this situation. To get yourself out, you have to study your own problems. You have to go ahead and take financial responsibility for your actions as well. So the first thing you have to do is step one. Acknowledge you have a problem. This is the biggest problem that people don't do. They don't acknowledge they have a problem. And step number two is to seek help. Anywhere. Not just in one location. Ask anybody for suggestions and help. This is very grateful because somebody is going to give you some really good suggestions. Other people might even give you a job or even give you an ability to get out of debt, such as some online classes which are going to help you make another stream of income. So the first step is to get and think about, this is like a football game, a chess game, or a soccer game. In all of that, you are the main player here and you want to win. You don't want to lose here. You don't want to declare bankruptcy. So first thing you want to do is to figure out how you can cut expenses. This is the main one. Getting rid of expenses is the number one thing you should be doing to get yourself out of debt. So what kind of expenses do you have? You have to write everything down, everything that is coming in and everything that is coming out, which actually means you have to create a budget. So let's figure out where the money is being spent on and where the money is being taken out of you and how much you're making every month. The goal is to auto break even. It's not enough. If you're in debt, you want to go into net positive every single month so you can get rid of this debt. The biggest problem people are getting into is credit cards. Credit card debt is the number one problem. Worse, the credit card themselves, the credit card companies, their design is to keep you in debt as long as possible because they make money on you. So the first step for you is to cut the credit card debt. Out of anything else, the credit card debt is the main problem. So if you have percent debt that you're paying for them, let's say for example 18%, whatever the percent is, they always try to rack you the highest percent. Plus, finance fees, minimum payments. In fact, if you look it up, you will see that whatever debt you have with credit card, over time it might take you 20 to 30 years to get rid of it if you're doing just minimum payment. The biggest trap people make is doing the minimum payments, the debt keep racking up and it's endless cycle. You can never get out of credit card debt. They want to enslave you to the system. And pretty much you're going to be their slave until you set yourself free. And this is the worst kind of situation you ever can get yourself into. One way to do this, of course, another credit card. Yes, you can actually get yourself out of credit card debt with a credit card. How? Well, if you have a 0% interest credit card that you already have, or your wife or some significant other is able for you to give yourself a credit card, access to that one, what you're going to be doing is balance transfer. You're going to transfer all the bad debt from those credit cards where you're paying a huge percent for them to a credit card that pays 0% interest, even if it's just for a year. So you consolidate all the debt into one credit card. You don't have 10 to 20 of them. It's much harder for you to keep track of so many different credit cards. and if you paid any of them on time. Because of that, having everything under one place and consolidating, get rid of all those other credit cards is going to help you out by being really straightforward and knowing how much expenses you have all on one card. So if you have like 10 different cards, you can't even figure out how much is coming in and out. By having everything on one or two, it's much more easier. Of course, if you are having a business, you need to have a business card and a personal card as well. It really helps you out here. Now the next thing is living large. And this is also a big one. It talks about expenses. What are your expenses right now? What are you spending money that you shouldn't be spending? Do you drive a vehicle that you shouldn't be affording? Do you actually have a house that is way bigger than you actually need? Did you take out a huge loan for a house? Maybe downsize, consider that. You have to understand that all of the expenses that you're doing every single day all adds up in the end of the month. So what are you doing right now? What are your business expenses? Are you spending money on ads? Are you spending money on things that you don't need to spend on? Everything you spend money on has to be taken into account. And the biggest thing is it good or bad debt? Ask yourself that. If you're spending money on something, are you making money by spending money? This is good debt if it's going to make you money in the future. If you're going to college to further your education, that is good debt because it's going to pay for itself if you're taking the right kind of classes, of course, and if you are going to finish with what you started, of course, as well. On the other hand, bad debt is a debt that you get when you can't pay it off. Trying and starting a new business. Now, this could be a good thing, but in most situations, it actually is a bad thing. The reason why most people are not prepared to start a brand new business, because they're not prepared to start a brand new business and they think they can actually do it. You get overconfident. So you take out those loans, you start putting this money into this business idea. Now, initial capital, you need a lot of capital to start a business idea. If you don't know what you're doing, well, no, you're not gonna go ahead, pour more money into it. And sometimes, even if you know what you're doing, a lot of businesses, the first businesses you actually are going to be starting, a lot of businesses actually fail. Lack of capital. Lots of other things change. Over time, the business environment changes as well. And if you don't keep with it, well, maybe the business idea was great a few years ago, but right now you did the same exact thing and you're not keeping up with the times. So, yeah, that idea was bad and you have started it right now. A few years in the wrong time frame. Would have been perfect if you did it in 2014. You're doing it 2019. The same business idea is not working and you keep on throwing more and more money into a bad idea. Now, another thing that you can do here is, of course, income. Increase your income exponentially. This is very important. Multiple streams of income is essential. So not one, not two, I'm talking about 10, 20, as many as you can initially. Now, this is actually not done right. A lot of people, it would jump into like 20 different streams of income and give up on all of them. That is not the point here. The point is to experiment with all those different streams of income and see which one is right for you. The point is not for you to try all of them and keep doing all of them at the same exact time. That is the wrong method and the wrong way. So this is how I discovered Etsy. This is how I discovered YouTube. This is how I discovered eBay a long time ago too. This is how I discovered a lot of ways how to make money online. And the way I discovered them is by testing and trying new methods, things I have not tried before. By trying things that you have never tried before, you never know which one is going to make you the extra $20,000 that I made on Etsy, the extra $100,000 or so I made on eBay, and so on. I mean, those are the ways that you can make money online. And most of the time, people don't understand those ways until they try different methods. So trying different methods of making money online is definitely gonna help you out, because now you found something that works for you, and you won't be able to know if it works for you if you haven't tried it out and you haven't grown enough about. So that is big. This is a big thing for you to know. So multiple streams of income, see which one's working for you. Once you do, keep doing them and just do a few of them. Don't do too many, because the more you do, the more harder it is for you to make money online. Now let's talk about some great people out there. There is great people out there who are geniuses and they were super broke and they got what they got right now. What got them to that situation, to the point where they are making millions? What they actually did is having an idea, believing in the idea, and executing the idea and keep on getting better and better and better. And this actually calls for the lecture how to be the 1%, and that's gonna come next here on this channel too. So this is gonna come in. So if you got all the way here, stay tuned for that lecture. But getting out of debt, another important thing for you to do is the mindset. It is very important for you to keep positive, especially when everything going against you, so negative. All the odds are stacked against you. But this is actually one of the best times in your life. You're listening and you're like, what? How could this be the best time in my life? Well, everything is stacked against me and I'm hardly making money. I'm not making any money. And I'm like stressed out. I understand that. But this is exactly the kind of situation that needs to happen to you right now, at this moment. This is your wake-up call. What it calls for you to understand that it's much better for you to be in this situation right now. And although if you have a roof under your head, you have food coming under the table, you're able to feed yourself, you're able to live somewhere. So you have to understand what is the positive things that you are having right now in your life. And also understand who are the people who are backing up and are here, helping you in those hard times. Those are your real friends, by the way. So you will understand who are your real friends at the time of need. And also you can turn to them for help. So that's important. Also important is keeping a positive mindset and not letting this stuff get to you. That is super important too, because having a clear mindset will be able to let you figure out what steps you have to take, and those steps have to be very carefully executed and done. Last thing you want to do is to jump into get rich quick schemes, which are so common, and people who are in those situations are very likely to jump into. So you might be thinking, hey, this $10 class, well, that's a good idea. Well, a $10 class is only a minimum investment that you're putting into something. A college degree, and you're already in debt for $50,000, that is not a good idea at this moment. Taking this class, get rich quick, whatever it is, there's so many of them, for $20,000, $10,000, or $500. Those are expensive classes. They better really help you out. Most of the time, they're not going to help you out. They're only helping the person who created those classes. And probably the knowledge that you pay $10,000 to this one person is the same you can get in a $10 class. Except the only difference is you paid more for that class. So you think this knowledge is more valuable. In reality, it's not. The only thing more valuable is that you're going to be putting more time and effort into this class because you paid so much more money for it. That is the big difference between the two. Other ways for you to get out of debt is, of course, talk to your significant others. Talk to people who are your friends with, networking, finding a new job, new source of income, try new things. And the best about this step is experimentation. And maybe get better at what you're doing. So if you already have a job, you have a few jobs who are making you all this big money already, or making you some substantial money, putting more effort into them, and putting a lot more effort into them, and doing something really good. This is the key for you to get out. And sometimes the key is looking at the number one source of income. What is your talent? Combine your talent with the number one source of income, and putting this to the next level might be your key to get out. And sometimes some of the people who are in the worst situations ever got out of those situations and became rich. And became rich because they finally understood what they have to do to get out of that situation. So being in the hole, being all the way at the bottom, sometimes it is the best, because the climbing on top of the mountain, once you get all the way up there, you know you accomplished something. You conquered yourself. You conquered your own inner demons. And above all, you proved everyone else wrong. And you prove it that this could be done. So being in that situation is best because it's going to teach not only you some life lessons, it's actually going to teach others as well, but primarily it's going to teach something to yourself, that you're capable, that you can do things that you never thought you could do before. And now it is time to put the players aside and take some action. Get action, get started, because you can do this. You have done it before. Think about the times that you actually been in those situations before that you had, and you had to struggle and you couldn't get yourself out. And you got yourself out every single time. You got to remember those times. You got to remember what you did, how you climbed out of those holes, and how you got yourself back where you got. This energy, this motivation, this inner strength comes back to you. And when it does, sometimes you need to take a break. Sometimes you need to take a vacation. It's going to get you out of this hole once again. And that's how it got me too. When I was in those situations, at one time I was just like you. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this helped any of you out. And if it did, make sure you subscribe to this channel. See you in another video.